All right, welcome to another video from the chart readers. Today we are going to be looking at the weed industry, and we actually have a new ticker that came from a user comment. Again, if you ever want me to add a ticker to any of these videos, if you want me to make a brand new video, just don't hesitate to ask. Worst thing I'll do is say no, but I definitely try to say yes. So we will do what we always do, right? We're going to look at the daily and the weekly to see what's setting up. We're going to use our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines that I do manually draw, and then we'll wind it down with the MACD and the RSI. I haven't made a video in a couple days. I was a little busy. If you could please like this, I think YouTube's mad that I haven't done that and they're like slowing me down, so that would be really appreciative. But let's get into it. So TLRY, look, a lot to be said here, right? Obviously, we're going to focus on what's happened, but just a couple things. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 5 moving averages in a cluster. Once you break it, look, I know it doesn't look like a monster drive, right? But from 344 to 444, that's a pretty nasty profit. You're almost in that 30% realm right there, right? Roughly 30, 30, 30 will make you that dollar, right? So my goodness, right? I always talk about it. When you can break clusters and ride the 8, it's a beautiful thing. This is definitely a little more on the 8 than riding above it. We've seen better examples. But again, look, there were a bunch of support, horizontal resistances and all that sort of stuff, right? But look, pretty naturally, once we broke the 100, we came to the 200, right? Again, that's just how this thing works, right? I don't even have to say too much, right? Once we hit the 200, it was a pretty hard rejection. The best situation would have been to land on the 8 and then bounce up, right? It happens a number of times. It does obviously look pretty bad here. I'm glad we didn't lose the 20 on Friday, but that's a pretty ugly RSI. That's definitely no longer a good MACD. It really seems like we might be coming down to the 100. I will say though, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Because I'm going to zoom out. Look, we've never broken the 100. We kind of did here, but obviously no confirmation. Now, if we can break it, test the next line, come back to it and bounce again, that is definitely a healthy move. I know it's not great. Everyone loves the continual uptrends, right? But things definitely need some cool down, and that's just an easy way of explaining it. I will say RSI is definitely really low, so there's no real need for a cool down. And even when it was right here, ooh, I'm lagging a little bit. Even on this day, you can see the RSI was at 62. You see it in the box on the left right there, right? So 62 would have been a good enough number to actually break the 200 if the situation was there too. So a little disappointing. I will say, looking into politics, everyone expected the Democrats to win both the Senate and the House. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Nonetheless, it didn't happen. The Republicans won one, so that's not a good thing, right? So again, what was looking like a good election thing is now kind of looking all right at best, right? So you can kind of see that. But again, short term, it seems like we're going to lose the 20 and come to the 100. There's at least 2 lines here, so hopefully the 2-line cluster, it's not a tight cluster, but hey, hopefully this is enough to not lose. But it seems like we'll lose the 20 just based on the RSI and the MACD starting to not look fantastic, right? Oh man, this was a great weekly. I don't like that we pretty much lost all of last week, right? We definitely lost 50% candle, and we're now, coming to losing most of it, right? So little disappointing on that. It's not a great weekly. Again, we just lost the RSI right here. MACD still looks all right, but not fantastic. I will say it looks like there's a golden cross about to happen on the weekly. That's a good thing, right? And that's separate from up here, right? But when a lower one crosses above a bigger one, that's generally a good thing. And hey, maybe it's a sign that that 50 isn't too far away from breaking. It's been a really long time, right? It's been till August 21. So hey, if we can break the 50, that would be real huge. So keep an eye on TLRY. It just seems like it might not be a great week. But hey, you never know. ACB. Okay, ACB. All right. a little bit like TLRY, but not quite the same break, right? So again, a pretty decent ride over the 8, but ultimately this 100 never really broke well, right? Again, this isn't a horrible second day confirmation, but again, for me, a good confirmation is literally breaking above it. Even if it's like a penny over, right? A good candle above is a confirmation. This actually did not, and it didn't hold the 152, right? So the next day, again, not a good confirmation. One, it's a doji. You know a doji can never be confirmation, right? Why is it a doji? Look, at some point it ran here, some point it ran here. It pretty much ended right where it opened, right? The day after was bad, and you can see it follow from there, right? So again, confirmation matters a bunch. And overall, from the 31st till Friday, we've never really broken the 100 well. You know what I mean? So that matters a lot. I'm glad TLRY did it. I'm glad TLRY just did it. We just saw it actually went close to the 200. But again, it's a matter of all of them kind of doing the same thing. I always start with what I consider the biggest one. So hey, if they could follow TLRY, that'd be great, right? But again, I wish this did a little better break of the 100. And one more time over this, again, not good confirmation, not good confirmation. This was bad. And then you see it the next following days, right? So, yeah, not looking good. Again, let me just say that real quick. Not looking good. Again, looks like we'll lose the 20 here. Just bad RSI, not a great MACD. I'm a little worried that this 50 might not hold, right? We don't have the 2 lines that we did with TLRY, right? So a little more worried on the weekly. Again, dang, it was setting up for very nice weekly, just couldn't get us that confirmation of the 20 break, right? Real disappointing. Obviously, look, I would love to at least come here by next week, right? By Friday, if we can close at 50% of this guy, and then obviously better than this guy, that'd be great. Worst thing we can do is come down to this 127. I don't want to lose all of this and start eating up some of this. That would be really bad. ACB, not looking great, sadly. MSOS. I'm lagging a little bit. I don't know what's wrong. Ooh, bad MSOS. But again, moved just like TLRY. Let me zoom back just to see how close were we to the 200. Oh, not very close, actually. Okay, but again, at least we got a better break of this cluster and the 100, right? Again, everyone would want continued, but hey, going from 11 to 12, you're at least popping, yeah, it's 10%. I mean, look, I'm not going to poo-poo 10%, right? But yeah, 30% like TLRY would have been a little better. But again, MSOS is an ETF, so this is going to move a little slower than individual stocks, right? But with that comes a little bit of safety, right? So nonetheless, what are we looking at? Again, not too good of stuff right now, right? We definitely ate up the last 3 days, right? That's horrible. I hate that we're down here, well below 50% this one. Obviously, all of that one's gone. Again, same bad RSI. MACD doesn't look as bad as the others, but again, we definitely didn't continue up. We've now had 2 pretty bad days, and it does seem like we might lose the 8. Hopefully, we bounce off the 8. Maybe it's a strong Monday on the majors, right? But yeah, sticking just to this, not looking too healthy on the daily. You know, this isn't a bad weekly. I will say that. This is a little bit of a doji, but again, it's at least not super thin. But again, I'm actually okay with this on the weekly. This might be a little indicative of the fact that, hey, this actually might bounce off the 8. There's definitely a 2-line cluster here, so if it comes down here, maybe it'll do a hard bounce up. But I like this weekly. I actually like it more than TLRY's weekly, right? Let me go back to TLRY real quick. Again, I'm glad that we're over both. And again, I was talking about the golden cross here as well, right? Hasn't happened yet, but it looks like it wants to. So maybe that combined with how MSOS looks, maybe I'm trying to squeeze a little too much optimism here, right? But overall, I guess this doesn't look too bad. So maybe it'll be a little choppy, but could wind up being a decent week. That will be something to watch. HEXO. Excuse me, sorry, a little congested. Hexo, man, I remember looking at this, seeing the 19 cent, being real happy. Obviously, this 100 was a pretty hard wall right here, right? There was definitely the one run right here, bad confirmation. So we've at least tested the 100, but have yet to really break it. Unfortunately, we are now on the wrong side of a very, very tight cluster, right? Bad RSI, bad MACD. We cannot lose 17 cents. It's been a while since we've been down here. The last thing we want to see is losing 17 cents. And I'm telling you, being on the wrong side of this cluster is really, really scary. Man, there's not too much optimism looking here. What does the weekly look like? Weekly does not look good. We actually lost the 8 on the weekly. Again, bad RSI. And we've seen a real low RSI. Give me the click. Why is this thing lagging? We've been down to 9 before. So be careful. And again, we cannot lose 17 cents on this. Otherwise, you're going into all-time lows and it will get really bad. Be careful, be careful, be careful with HEXO. Okay, CGC looks a lot like TLRY actually. Came, again, I have to zoom out for you to see it better, but I at least see the purple line. Damn, that's a real bad zoom. Nonetheless, we broke the cluster, we rode on up, almost tested the 200, not quite, but I would say as close as TLRY got, right? Did TLRY actually hit the line? Oh, TLRY got closer, but neither hit actually. So, interesting. But nonetheless, CGC did get really close, did get the same rejection, and it kind of looks like it's making that same drop, right? A little further away from the 20, so maybe this will hold on the 20. Nonetheless, there's still at least the 2 lines here that, you know, knock on wood, doesn't get any lower than this, right? Best case scenario, we bounce off the 20 and come back up. Worst case, we break the 20, lose it, and come down to this cluster, right? So again, be careful here. Bad RSI and really a steep RSI. I think a little bit steeper than the other ones. And then this MACD is definitely curving. We've seen it bounce up. We definitely have. So hey, it might bounce up, but you know, just all signs from the rest look like it's not looking too great. So this weekly isn't horrible. Again, it's not great by any means. I'm not going to say good things, but it roughly looks like we're about at halfway. We're about at 50% candle, right? And again, holding 50% candle is a good thing. I wish we didn't lose this line because again, we're pretty much on the tips of those 2 weeks. This does look like a golden cross. It looks like it actually has happened here where the lower one has crossed above the upper one. Again, might be nothing more than just horizontal forming, but if you get a good golden cross up, that is a bullish sign, right? So as long as it doesn't do this, right? It crosses up and crosses down, right? Like that, that's not good. We want it to cross up and keep going up. That is a good golden cross, right? Again, overall, not looking great. Maybe Monday, Tuesday are bad. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are good, right? You can maybe see a mix like that because the weeklies don't look horrible on all of them, but the dailies definitely don't look great so far, at least, right? SNDL. Sandal. So again, this thing is literally just riding that 100, right? We are on the wrong side of the 100, but this entire time we've been over the 8. I'm happy with that, right? That said, excuse me, I would not make an entry until we broke 281. Because if you can break 281, you're obviously well over the 8 and you're well over this day, right? So if this broke 281, I would get in because, hey, there's only a couple resistances between here and the 200. Until this breaks 281, I just would not touch it, right? And you know what? Let's just do this live real quick. Oh, come on. Yep, there we go. Set an alert. I got when Sandal crosses this line, when it goes up, we'll do it for 1 year, and my default notifications, which I'm not going to show you, but that's all set. All right, cool. I've got an alert created, right? And that's what you should be doing when numbers look like, you know, again, this is not financial advice, right? But again, hey, do what you want to do with this knowledge only. That said, that's how you make an alert. And I promise you, alerts are key. So again, look, I mean, this is a good weekly, right? Why is this red, but you know, so let me explain what we're looking at, because obviously this is not a filled in red, this is an outline red. So the week opened up here and closed down here. That said, this when I come here, you'll see that Sandal last week closed at 620. Sorry, wow, that was a dyslexic moment, at 260. We opened, come here, oh my gosh, why am I so laggy? So we opened at 280, closed at 260. So technically someone lost money during the week, but comparatively, these aren't horrible. They at least stayed the same. So that's why I have it outlined red versus filled in red, okay? So just let me just explain what that is. And what does that essentially mean? Look, there are more than just good days and bad days. There are good days and bad good days, right? Sometimes you'll get a positive, you know, number, but it wasn't as good as the good day was supposed to be. It's actually a bad good day, right? This one, again, it looks bad for some people because, again, someone bought up here and it ended down here. They lost 20 cents, right? That's 10%. However, comparatively, it's actually good. So this was a good, bad week, right? So again, just a little food for thought. There's more than two, though. That said, look, I wish we were over the 20. That would have been a little better. However, I'm glad that we at least, you know, held last week. So this thing can get some mean power, break it, hopefully break this and run up. Otherwise, this is going to go down, right? So this needs a little help. It's not looking great, but it's actually looking a little better than most that we've seen on this thing. So yeah, keep that in mind, actually. Sandal might be worth a look, and you saw me set that alert already, actually. Ooh, CRON. Excuse me again, sorry. So CRON is very, very much in a tight channel. How long has it been running for? Okay, actually a good while. So look, I mean, this is, damn. Look, again, it pretty much is, I mean, it's very much from here, but it's actually been since March. But this thing is really tight. This is really close to breaking, and it's actually made a few attempts. Look, we've said it a number of times. If you can get over all the moving averages, it's nothing but clear skies up here, right? And really, on the daily, CRON is the closest to breaking them all, right? So very, very interesting chart here. Look, CRON, I mean, I would almost make the entry right here. Because if you can break these peaks right here, it really seems like you'll go up. Obviously, a good play would be once it breaks the 200 to come to these peaks. Because again, only takes a few, 30 cents is 10%, and it looks like that'll get you pretty much there, right? So I love me a good 10% in a day or two, right? That's a beautiful trade right there. CRON, wow, very, very interesting, CRON. Definitely keep this one on your radar. If this can get over the 200, real good things will happen. Look, this is actually the only good RSI, and this is definitely not one of those real bad RSIs, right? So CRON, and again, just that's a great yesterday. It really is. This 6% kept us over the 8, and look, we were over the 8 on all of them. The 200, wow, CRON looks good. All right, CRON looks good on the daily. Man, if CRON can break the 50, where's this 331 line? Again, 331 was the line that I set up here, right? But yeah, if CRON can break 331, there's a huge just downtrend that it might start going up on. At the minimum, I don't want to say at the minimum because obviously there's a lot in between it, but if it could break 331, $4 seems very realistic. CRON is probably the only good one so far, and we've come pretty deep on the list. Damn, CRON, nice. All right, good to know. Green Lane. All right, so again, look, watch this, okay? Watch this 51 cent line. This is just a real nasty gap. I thought it was going to happen right here. I'll be honest with you, right? Because we got over the 8. That was good. This day right here got over the 8. But again, This is now, I mean, it's not a moving average, obviously, but it's a very important line. And it needs a confirmation of this line break. You can't just use the 2 days on the 8 confirmation and call it a day. I needed one more on this. And again, a doji, even though it was up here, this is never confirmation. Day after, we lose the 51, and then again, the last couple days have not been great, right? So this 51 is as important as a moving average, for real. You need to get the confirmation on this thing. And again, if you do, beautiful gap fill. This seems like it'll stop it, but hey, even if that stops it, you're at least running a 60 cents, right? That's almost 20%. It's more than 20%. And then from there, if that breaks, you're coming to the $1.20, right? Like that's it's a 3x move theoretically if this happens. So keep an eye on green lane, but again, don't get greedy. Just wait for a break and confirmation because there is a 3x move here. Don't feel bad if you get in at the safer 2x move, right? Going from 75 to a $1.20, that's not a bad gain. And it's a little safer, right? Because you've broken this 20 and you're pretty much coming just to this, right? So, and hey, even these two are reds themselves and it might come all the way up here, right? So again, just know your risk tolerance, know how close you will be to the mouse if you need to sell immediately. But again, there's nothing wrong with waiting to just break the 20 and then ride that up because even that is a really healthy gain, right? So bunch of different ways to play this. But again, this very much is a bad stock until this makes a more dominant move up. All we're really looking for is this gap right here. And hey, it might not happen for a good while, so don't expect it to happen tomorrow, right? I know this looks good and I know this looks good, but I've said it a bunch of times. 80% of the work is up here, right? So break 51, confirmation of 51, you can nibble. That said, this is not a keep your money in here for a long time stock because look how far we are on the 8 from the weekly, right? There's so much bad right here. So again, if there's a good move, make profit. I'm a swing trader, right? I'm not here to say don't make profit on a quick swing. Just know your time limitations, right? GRWG. So this is new to the video. I'll be honest, I don't know this one very well. We're going to make lines on this right now, but this actually did break the 200 and got a good little run after the 200 actually. Looks like another 10% after it. Yeah, more than 10% actually. It was about $1 right there. It's almost 20% after it broke it, right? Again, horrible drop, but you could have set stop losses, right, to easily get you out of here. Real bad once it lost this whole thing. Very bad once it lost this whole thing, right? You could have set a stop loss right here and maybe missed out most of this. Hey, even if you set your stop loss at the 8 itself, obviously a little more loss than you would have liked, but hey, you would have saved another 30 cents right there, right? So where are we right now? Look, we're right on the 200. Not a very good RSI or a MACD. Best case scenario is you bounce up. And look, you really need to open right here. You got to open at like 5. What's it actually? Where's the 8 actually at? 1 second. So it's at, if you can open tomorrow at 590, I'll be happy. That'll at least get you a little bit over the 8 and hopefully make your way back up. Worst thing that would happen is you come down because this is the next natural spot you're going to come down to, right? Let me go to the weekly. We'll make some lines off the weekly. Oh, look at that. I have to actually use this thing. Dun. Sorry for the lag. I don't know why this is happening. So I'll put one right there. Look, it hits exactly right there. I love it. We'll put one right there. And then we'll put one right there. I think that's a pretty good way up. That's a pretty good way down, and let's put one right in between those two right there. Okay, I think this is a pretty good up and down. And if I had to guess, this is probably going to hit the cluster right there. Yeah, for sure it did. So look, unless we open upwards towards 596, I said 590 earlier, right? But we need to open above the 8. Otherwise, it really seems like we're coming down to 430. I'll be honest, I don't know what volume looks like. Give me a second. Oh, I can't see volume on this chart. Again, make sure you look at volume. I should probably add volume to this view, but I don't know if this thing's in the millions, if it's in the 100,000s or what, but you need a lot of volume to go up. This is beautiful, and I imagine volume just kept growing, right? So watch volume and definitely watch the 200 right here. But few lines up, few lines down. My guess right now is we're coming to 434. So hey, if you haven't yet, at the very minimum, set a stop loss here, 525. I would almost even set a stop loss at the 200 itself. If it loses the 200, I'm pretty much out. Another one could be 555, roughly 50% of this guy. But again, daily, definitely at a hard place. Look, this is a good weekly. This actually very much is. 50% of the last week was roughly right here. Both are still sloping up, which I do like. I wish the RSI was a little better. But hey, again, if we can get over this line, we're trying to go to the 50. After the 50, it's the 200 right here, right? So this is a good weekly, and we've seen it on a couple other ones across this. The weeklies aren't looking horrible. It's just the dailies are. So maybe Monday and Tuesday will be bad, but it'll clean up throughout the week. So keep that in mind with some of these. Video went a little bit longer than I thought, but again, I haven't made one of these in a while. So hope you're learning.